I had a great opportunity this last week to be out in Park City, Utah, with a group called Aspire. It was a book written by Kevin Hall, and he brings together a mastermind group of people who get great results, and particularly as well have had adversity in their life. And three things that I took away from that. One is consistency as it relates to all aspects of our lives. We tend to put a surge of energy in and then start to get some results, and then we back off that, and then we start to have a decline and wonder why we're not getting the results. Second is persistence. Gentleman that we met with, Zach, I can't remember his last name at the moment, world champion in the skeleton, which is the face first down the luge track, and we were in Park City, Utah, where the Olympic Training Center is, and the 2002 Olympics were held. Crazy story about how he trained, was world champion, but always wanted to be Olympic champion. Before one of the Olympics, got rear-ended by a car. He was at a stop, and he couldn't compete. Next time, he trained, back world champion. Propecia is a hair replacement. It's supposed to make your hair grow. And it was literally the week before the Olympic Games in Torino, Italy. He had to fly home, get an attorney, and fight the doping agency. And they reinstated him the night before the Olympic Games were to start. He had his uniform all laid out, everything laid out. The head guy, who happened to be a Canadian, was the head of the agency, contacted him and said, "You need to leave the village." And they came, they cut up his credentials. He physically was removed from the Olympic Village. So I couldn't grasp that. And then the persistence. And so then he took that, and he could have easily just folded up, right? Because this opportunity comes up every 4 years. And he persisted, came back, trained, and made it to the Olympics, wound up placing 5th. And what was really intriguing as well was forgiveness. Is another part of this, is he was bitter about all of these things. His mother, who had passed away several years prior, had said, "Always chase your dreams." And so his first run, he did not do good. They only get 4 runs, and you have to take the times of all 4. You can't throw any of them out. If you would have only taken his last 3 runs, he would have been at least at a bronze or a silver, not a gold. The guy at gold was that much farther ahead. He would have medaled. But his point to us was that it was the moment he had forgiveness in his heart that then it took away all the distraction. It brought him calm and peace to perform at a level he knew he could do. But what was standing in his way was that bitterness, and that distracted him enough from his performance that it cost him. And so another main point was just forgiveness in your heart, because it's negative energy and a distraction. So the sooner you can let things go, life's going to happen to us all. It's not that you can flow chart, Gantt chart, plan all these things. Life's still going to happen. So it's how can we let go of those things? The other thing, if you have not gone through and studied As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, I strongly recommend it. I'd heard about it for years, had never gone through it. We worked through that. It's a great read, and will help a ton.
What's that? Thinketh?
As a Man Thinketh it's a book. It's only about 50 pages. It's a very short read, but it's everything about self-actualization, that our thoughts guide our circumstances. And a lot of people think of it the other way. Our circumstances are what guide our thoughts, that we're reactive instead of proactive. And even in terms of the seeds in our brains, that you can plant, and by being proactive, the thoughts in your head, and nurture and grow those, similar to a garden. Or you can wait for seeds to fall into your head, and those are similar to weeds that aren't productive. So it's what are we putting into our brains versus allowing to be put into our brains, and how do we nurture those? And especially in this day and age, is that there's a lot of things that are being put into our heads that are negative. And so it's up to us to be able to choose what we allow, and no different than in our sport here, what we block and not allow to come in, and what are we doing similar to our bodies, and what are we feeding and putting in from a mental perspective. As a Man Thinketh, it's very powerful, not as a read, but as a study. It's really good.
So like with things that are maybe seeds, unwanted seeds, like what are some things you've put into practice that helps you prevent them from getting planted, prevent them from getting thrown into the head.
First is recognition of it.
Yeah.
So, for example, in a loving relationship, is when things aren't going the way that I want them to, is I have a tendency to want to just fix it right away. And again, coming back to our sport, is I want to be able to just change the situation and have it fixed. Is recognizing it, and even if you need to, is name it, right? Here comes Larry, right? And it's that emotion and wanting to attack. And so recognition of it is first, those seeds that are not correct, and then taking steps in planting what is correct. So it's not just focusing on the pulling and getting those thoughts out. You got to replace it with something positive, right? So as acknowledging, I need to take a break for a moment and come back. Let me gather my thoughts, and I'll come back to you and be able to articulate. Just as an example,
Sure.
For me personally, that it's an ongoing work, but the things that in life that are worthy tend to be the most difficult, so we have to lean into them and not fall backwards.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Coach.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.